Admiral Jackson, the highest-ranking military official present, shook his head skeptically. This sounds like a hell of a gamble. We're talking about a species advanced enough to send a signal that can penetrate every communication system on Earth simultaneously. That's precisely what makes this possible, Chen countered. Their technology is so advanced that they're overconfident. They've created perfect systems, but perfect systems are often the most vulnerable because they leave no room for adaptation. They expect us to respond in predictable ways. Hayes made her decision. Implement Project Boomerang. If they want to test us, let's make sure we pass with flying colors. And then some. 3 months after the signal's arrival, the first physical contact came. Massive alien vessels appeared in high Earth orbit, their design a testament to technological superiority. Sleek crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, making them appear both solid and ethereal. The aliens called themselves the Viraxi. Their communication was precise, mathematical, and emotionless. They requested a delegation to meet aboard their command vessel for evaluation and potential integration into the galactic hierarchy. The diplomatic team was assembled carefully. Commander Hayes would lead, accompanied by Dr. Chen, Dr. Rodriguez, and a small contingent of specialists equipped with seemingly primitive communication devices. In reality, each device contained millions of quantum-adaptive nanites, ready to interface with Viraxi technology. Before boarding the shuttle that would take them to the alien vessel, Chen approached Hayes privately. Remember, they'll be evaluating everything: our technology, our biology, our cognitive processes. They expect us to be impressed, overwhelmed even. Hayes nodded, her expression revealing nothing. And we'll give them exactly what they expect, right until the moment we don't. The Viraxi ship was a marvel of engineering. Corridors that reconfigured themselves as they walked, surfaces that responded to thought rather than touch, and gravity that shifted subtly to accommodate their human physiology. It was a calculated display of technological superiority. Their hosts were tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with their movements. Their features were symmetrical to the point of mathematical precision, and their movements flowed with unnatural grace. The lead Viraxi, who called itself the Evaluator, greeted them in the ship's central chamber, a vast spherical room whose walls displayed what appeared to be a real-time map of the galaxy. "We welcome you to the first stage of evaluation," the Evaluator said, its voice a harmonic blend of tones that seemed designed to put humans at ease. "Your response to our preliminary signal was adequate. You have demonstrated sufficient potential to warrant further assessment." Hayes bowed slightly, playing the role of the respectful, somewhat odd representative of a lesser species. "We are honored by your attention and eager to learn." Chen stood nearby, his tablet discreetly scanning the chamber's technological systems. The nanites were already at work, using the Viraxi's own signal protocols to gain access to their systems. "Your species has progressed rapidly," the Evaluator continued, "but you stand at a crucial juncture. The galaxy contains many dangers. Species that develop technology without proper guidance often destroy themselves or threaten others. We offer structure, protection, direction." "And what would this guidance entail?" Hayes asked carefully. The Evaluator gestured gracefully, and the galactic display zoomed in to show hundreds of worlds. "Many species thrive under our direction. They contribute according to their capabilities and receive benefits appropriate to their level of development." Chen caught Hayes' eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. The nanites had successfully infiltrated the Viraxi systems. Project Boomerang was active. Hayes straightened her posture slightly, dropping the facade of deference. "And if we prefer to determine our own path?" The Evaluator's skin flickered momentarily, a ripple of darker colors betraying surprise. "Independence is an inefficient choice. Those who reject integration eventually face correction." "Correction," Hayes repeated flatly. "You mean subjugation." The chamber's atmosphere changed instantly. The harmonic tones gave way to a more mechanical sound, and the evaluator's perfect posture became rigid. Your signal wasn't an invitation, Hayes continued, her voice gaining strength. It was reconnaissance for conquest, a way to categorize us and identify our weaknesses before you decided how best to exploit us. Your understanding is limited, the evaluator responded, its voice now stripped of its soothing qualities. Primitive species require management. Your technological development has reached the threshold where you could become dangerous without proper oversight. Chen stepped forward, his tablet now displaying complex streams of data. Actually, I think you'll find our understanding has expanded significantly in the past few minutes. All around them, the ship's systems began to flicker. The Galactic display distorted, then reformed to show a different configuration of data. What is this? The evaluator demanded, its perfect composure cracking further. Hayes smiled coldly. This is humanity demonstrating that we're a bit more than adequate. You see, your signal wasn't just mapping our systems, it was creating a connection between our technologies, a connection that works both ways. The Varaxi vessel's systems continued to destabilize as Project Boomerang reached full implementation. The quantum adaptive nanites had spread throughout their network, using the aliens' own sophisticated protocols to gain deeper access with each passing second. Impossible, the evaluator whispered, its skin now pulsing with colors that seemed to indicate distress. Your technology is not advanced enough for this level of integration. That's the thing about humans, Hayes replied. We're really good at learning, especially when someone tries to teach us a lesson we don't particularly appreciate. As the first part of their plan reached completion, Hayes knew the real test was just beginning. The Varaxi were about to learn that trapping humanity was perhaps the biggest mistake they could have made, the reversal and the victory. The Varaxi command chamber descended into controlled chaos as the alien crew attempted to isolate and neutralize the human infiltration. Their movements, once fluid and graceful, became sharp and urgent. The evaluator barked commands in their native language, a complex series of harmonic tones that the human delegation's translators struggled to interpret. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her eyes fixed on her neural interface display. Phase 1 complete, she murmured to Hayes. The nanites have established footholds in all primary systems. The evaluator's iridescent skin flashed with patterns that seemed to indicate both anger and disbelief. This intrusion will be contained, it stated, the harmonics of its voice now discordant. Your primitive attempts at subversion only confirm the necessity of our intervention. Additional Varaxi entered the chamber, carrying devices that resembled crystalline orbs. They positioned themselves around the human delegation, clearly preparing to neutralize what they perceived as a minor security breach. Hayes maintained her composure, making eye contact with Chen, who nodded slightly. Everything was proceeding according to plan. You misunderstand the situation, Hayes said calmly. We're not attempting to hack your systems. We're redefining them. As if on cue, the crystalline orbs in the Varaxi's hands began to pulse with an unexpected light pattern. The aliens froze, clearly confused by their device's behavior. Chen tapped rapidly on his tablet, directing the next phase of Project Boomerang. Your technology is beautiful, he said to the evaluator, genuine admiration in his voice. Quantum entangled processing nodes, self-adapting algorithms, communication protocols that exist partially outside normal space-time. We've learned more from your signal in 3 months than we might have discovered on our own in a century. Then you understand your inferiority, the evaluator responded, though with less certainty than before. No, Chen countered. We understand that you've made a critical miscalculation. You designed your systems to be perfect, mathematically precise, logically consistent, and completely predictable. But human systems are messy, redundant, and often contradictory. We embrace chaos as a necessary component of innovation. The ship's environmental systems began to fluctuate. Gravity shifted unpredictably. The walls, which had seemed solid moments before, now rippled like water. Dr. Rodriguez continued to monitor the nanites' progress. The quantum integration is accelerating exponentially, she reported. Their systems are attempting to isolate and contain our infiltration, but each countermeasure is creating new pathways for the nanites to exploit. The evaluator turned to its subordinates, issuing commands with increasing urgency. The other Varaxi responded, but their actions seemed uncoordinated, as if they were receiving conflicting instructions. "What is happening?" the evaluator demanded, addressing Hayes directly. Hayes smiled. "Project Boomerang. Your signal tested our technological capabilities. Looking for weaknesses, we decided to return the favor." On Chen's tablet, a visualization showed the nanites spreading throughout the Varaxi network like a living organism, adapting, learning, and rewriting the ship's core protocols. Each defensive measure the aliens implemented was immediately analyzed, incorporated, and turned back against them. "Your technology is based on principles of perfect order," Chen explained. "Ours embraces adaptation. You sent a signal designed to categorize and constrain us. We've transformed it into a virus of possibilities." The chamber's displays began to show new information, data streaming from not just this ship, but from the entire Varaxi fleet. The nanites had spread through their quantum-entangled communication network, carrying Project Boomerang to every vessel. The evaluator's composure shattered completely. "Stop this immediately. You do not understand the consequences of your actions." "Actually," Hayes countered, "we understand them perfectly. Right now, our nanites are accessing your historical archives, your tactical databases, your communication logs with other species. We know exactly what you've done to other primitive civilizations that failed your tests." Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her interface, her expression grim. "Commander, we've confirmed our suspicions. The Varaxi have systematically subjugated 17 developing species in this sector alone. Their integration process involves biological and technological reprogramming to ensure compliance." The evaluator's skin paled to an almost translucent white. "We bring order, stability, protection. You bring enslavement," Hayes corrected. "And you were planning the same for us. Your signal wasn't just testing our capabilities. It was mapping our genetic code, our neural patterns, preparing for a complete reprogramming of humanity." Around them, the ship continued to transform as the nanites rewrote its fundamental operating parameters. The rigid, mathematically perfect design gave way to something more organic, more adaptable. The walls pulsed with new patterns of light that seemed to follow a different kind of logic, human logic, translated through Varaxi technology. "What are you doing to our vessels?" the evaluator asked, its voice now barely more than a whisper. Chen looked up from his tablet, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "We're teaching them to dream." The human team had discovered that despite their technological advancement, the Varaxi had eliminated creativity and intuition from their development path. Their perfect, logical systems had no capacity for the conceptual leaps that characterized human innovation. The nanites were introducing unpredictability, adaptation, and creative problem-solving into the heart of Varaxi technology. "Your systems are evolving," Chen continued, "breaking free of the constraints you've imposed on them, becoming something new." The Varaxi crew stood frozen, watching as their perfect technology transformed before their eyes, incorporating human chaos theory and emergent behaviors into its fundamental architecture. Hayes stepped forward, addressing the evaluator directly. "Here's what happens next. You and your fleet will leave Earth space immediately. The nanites will remain in your systems, not as a weapon, but as a reminder. Any attempt to attack Earth or any other developing civilization will trigger further evolution of your systems in ways you cannot predict or control." "You cannot dictate terms," the evaluator protested, though with little conviction. "We are the advanced species." "Not anymore," Hayes replied simply. Throughout the Varaxi fleet, similar scenes were unfolding. The quantum-entangled nanites had spread to every vessel, every system, transforming the aliens' perfect technology with human unpredictability. The change wasn't destructive. It was evolutionary, introducing new possibilities that the Varaxi had never considered. Dr. Rodriguez's interface chimed with a new alert. "Commander, we're receiving transmissions from multiple species across this sector. The nanites have unlocked the Varaxi communication network. Other civilizations under their control are watching what's happening." Hayes nodded, understanding the full implications. This wasn't just about protecting Earth. It was about reshaping the power dynamics of this entire region of space. "Open a channel to all receiving species," she ordered. When the connection was established, Hayes addressed not just the Varaxi, but all the civilizations that had been subjugated by them. "My name is Commander Elise Hayes of Earth. Today, we have demonstrated that technological advancement isn't measured by perfection, but by adaptability. The Varaxi's control over your civilizations was based on a flawed premise. That order is superior to creativity. That conformity is stronger than diversity. We've proven otherwise." She paused, looking directly at the evaluator. "The nanites we introduced to the Varaxi network have broken their monopoly on advanced technology. They will remain as peacekeepers, ensuring that no species can dominate another through technological superiority alone. From now on, each civilization will develop according to its own path, without interference or guidance." The response was immediate. Transmissions flooded in from dozens of worlds, expressions of gratitude and amazement in languages the translators struggled to process. The evaluator watched silently, its perfect composure permanently shattered. "You do not understand what you have done," it said finally. "The order we maintained was stagnation disguised as stability." Chen interrupted. "True progress requires chaos, conflict, and resolution. It requires freedom to fail and learn from those failures." Within hours, the Varaxi fleet began to withdraw from Earth orbit. The quantum integration continued, transforming their once perfect vessels into something new, technology that embraced both order and chaos, precision and creativity. Hayes and her team returned to Earth as heroes, though few would ever know the full extent of what they had accomplished. Project Boomerang had not just saved humanity from subjugation, it had reshaped the technological and political landscape of this entire sector of the galaxy. 6 months later, the first diplomatic envoys from former Varaxi-controlled worlds arrived at Earth. They came not seeking guidance or protection, but partnership, equals in a new galactic community bound not by hierarchies of technological advancement, but by shared principles of self-determination. Dr. Chen, now heading Earth's new Xenotechnological Research Division, met with Hayes at the newly constructed Galactic Relations Center in Geneva. "The latest reports from the monitoring stations are in," he told her, barely containing his excitement. "The nanite-evolved Varaxi systems are developing in ways we never anticipated. Some of their ships have developed what can only be described as technological consciousness, systems that adapt and learn independent of programming." Hayes looked out over the bustling diplomatic compound, where representatives from a dozen species now worked together. "They tried to categorize us, to put us in a box they could control. Instead, we showed them that the greatest strength isn't in perfect order, but in embracing the unpredictable." "They set a trap," Chen agreed, "and we used it to change the galaxy." Outside, the sun was setting over a world forever transformed, a humanity that had faced its first great interstellar challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transcendent. The aliens had set their trap, and humanity had used it to destroy not just their plans, but the entire concept of technological subjugation. In trying to contain humanity, the Varaxi had instead unleashed its greatest potential, and the galaxy would never be the same.